There's something so calming about reading outside. The footage you're seeing right now is back from early April when it was still windy and chilly here in North Georgia. But even so, I would pull out my chappy wrap blanket, put on my warmest, softest barley set and Ugg slippers, grab my hot chai, and enjoy the peace that comes with reading outdoors. In a world full of distractions and noise, doing this successfully quiets all the thoughts in my head. Even Peaches loves sitting out here with me. Now, our deck is nothing special. The furniture is worn and the deck boards are old. But I believe the trees and surrounding nature are what make this spot special. So as we round the corner into warmer months, we are going to take our outdoor deck and turn it into a summer book nook dream. I hope you feel inspired as you watch to carve out your own peaceful reading place and enjoy. All right, you guys, my voice is still recovering just a little bit from being sick a couple weeks ago, but I wanted to give you a general vision for what we're gonna do. It's not gonna be a complete renovation. Another year we're gonna redo some of these deck boards, but for now this is what we're gonna do. Today we're gonna plant the flowers that we got. So I put these pink vincas in the barrel pot every year and it always looks so good. It gets the perfect amount of shade and sun there, and they just end up overflowing the pot, and it's so pretty. Some of this white verbena we're gonna do in this potter because we've done that before as well, and same thing, it always ends up growing over and cascading down the pot. And we have a little inflatable pool that we're gonna put in. You can see where we put it last year in this corner, and it got used literally all summer, so it's gonna be nice to have some pretty flowers to kind of look at while you're sitting in the pool here. We're gonna try to plant some tomatoes again in this pot this year. They did really good right here, especially if we move this a little bit more into this corner. It gets that much more shade from this part of the house here. We're gonna do some sun patiens in this garden bed because I've done sun patiens around our mailbox. That's what those are. And they take full sun, even in this thick, muggy Georgia heat, they survive. So we're gonna try them in this garden bed right here. All we got today was this one thing of sun patiens because it's the only one they had. They didn't have small containers of it like this. Not sure what we're gonna do there. I've done lavender there before because lavender is supposed to keep away the mosquitoes. And it did okay. Some would call it dead. I called it struggling. And as you can see, we painted the pot white. That's all chipped. We got to redo that pot. Another thing that Craig and I are going to try to do is sand down our furniture. So we have this chair, this matching coffee table, this little double love seat here, and this chair. And it's just been out in the weather, and we didn't really do the deck last year. We set the pool out here and that's it. Because life be lifing. So we're gonna actually try to make the deck look nice this year. And so we're gonna sand down all this furniture, and I got some stain for us to try to restain it. Never done that with wooden deck furniture before, but we're gonna give it a go because it was way cheaper than buying new furniture. Even with it being kind of decrepit looking out here, especially during the winter when none of the trees are in bloom and it's just bare back here, I've still been using the deck to read and just listen to the bird sounds. So I'm really excited to make it actually pretty again back here. Also, you can see all my garden tools from before. These need so much TLC. I might need to get another one of these. I don't know if you can even read it anymore, but it's so helpful. It's like a little water meter. You can also, you can see how moist it is, or you can toggle it to check pH levels, but you just stick it in there and it tells you if it needs to be watered or not. But yeah, so all we're doing for today is planting these flowers. We were gonna start sanding this weekend, but it's rained every day. So we haven't been able to sand the furniture yet, but I will keep you guys posted on when we start doing that. Oh, the other thing we're doing, Greg's parents gave us these hostas, And so we planted those right there just because we've never had anything back here. We thought it'd be nice to have some plants back there. We got those pavers, we put in the mulch. You can kind of see Craig working right now. He's going to continue the pavers on, and then we have plants going out the side of the house this way. So we're going to make a mulch thing going that way too. Same thing, it'll be nice when you're just like sitting in the pool, reading a good book. Like when you look over, there'll be like a nice little planted area among the trees. And then yeah, having this whole deck full of flowers too. What's up, you guys? I thought I would give you guys a little like book nook update slash a book haul. I just got back from Barnes & Noble and I'm so sad. I was totally planning on like filming a full-on like bookstore vlog and got maybe like a minute and a half worth of footage of like walking in the doors, and then this lady came up and said like they don't allow videoing in there, which I was kind of like both surprised and not, because there's so many people who film like Barnes & Noble bookstore vlogs like all the time. So I'm like, okay, clearly some Barnes & Nobles are like okay with it. But I guess she didn't say why, but I'm assuming maybe they've had some like issues with it, or like people complaining about them being on camera when they don't want to be or something, which I wasn't going to film anybody else except for me and my friend Stephanie, who came with us, but whatever, I'll put whatever clips I got in there on the screen. Yeah, I thought maybe it's been kind of rainy, but like if it's not too bad out there, I might put a blanket down and we can like have a little book chat real quick. Also, this was the fit for today's little bookstore moment. It's a jumpsuit that I got from, I think it's called Molly Green, but it's a store that we went to when we were in Nashville. Which, side note, I'll put a picture on the screen. We did go to one bookstore while we were in Nashville recently. It's a newer one called the Library Cafe, and it was super cute, but I did not want to even try to film in there because it was pin drop quiet and there were like tons of people like sitting and reading. I was like, I'm not disturbing the peace in here. But anyways, I got this in Nashville. My necklaces are some of the same ones I always wear. I'll link those. And then I just have on my little sneaks that I always wear. Okay, so the flowers that you guys saw me plant have been thriving. These are those vincas. I think it might be a week since I planted them, and they get morning sun, afternoon shade. These are my sun patients that get full sun all day, and they thrive, and I knew that. That's why I put them over here. Haven't planted anything there yet. Vincas are kind of growing. They're still a little slow, but they'll eventually start like cascading over, and I'm really excited for that. And then there's Miss Peachy Girl. Hi, baby. We got the blow-up pool inflated. We empty it, clean it, and refill it every weekend. But okay, so let's talk books. I'm really excited. I might have already said this because this is kind of like a vlog that's spanning a long time, so sorry if I did, but I'm currently reading The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I have read one of her books before, and it was Firefly Lane, and I bawled my eyes out because I had no idea at all about the ending. I was like going into that completely blind. My mother-in-law gave it to me, and so my mother-in-law also gave me this one, and so I was a little bit like hesitant to read it because I was like, am I going to bawl my eyes out again? And she was like, I don't know, you have to read it. You can see I'm maybe like a little bit more than halfway through so far, and I can't put it down. I love it. It's during the Great Depression and like the Dust Bowl, and it's very similar to Grapes of Wrath in terms of like setting. In terms of like setting and environment, except I hated this book. If you're wanting to read like historical fiction, or like, I don't know, is that what this is considered as historical fiction? It's based on history that actually took place, but obviously these are like fictional characters. I would read this one 50 times over. Right, Peaches? Right, Papa? I would read this one 50 times over before I read this one, because written by a man in the 20s or 30s versus written by a woman today. I hate to put it that way, but honestly, I think that's why this one is so much better, because the characters are so much more dynamic. There's not like one stereotypical female like there is in this one. And I'll put a picture on the screen. I saw they had a table of her books out at Barnes & Noble this morning. And like I said, I've read Firefly Lane. I have not read Nightingale, which I know is like the one that everybody reads. She has a new book out. I can't remember the name of it. And another one. It'll be on screen. But yeah, so currently reading this one. Then I got 4 new books today, which I should not have done, but I did. Peaches is a book girly as well. 3 of them are on my TBR, and 1 of them is a wild card, so I thought I'd go through them really quick. Abby Jimenez, I have seen everywhere. I'm sure that you have too, and as you guys know, I've read a lot of literary fiction and have been trying to like get a little bit back into the romance world. I did just finish Beach Read, which I don't have out here, but I'll put it on screen. And it kind of fell flat for me. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I've read Book Lovers, Beach Reads, and The People We Meet on Vacation by her. And Book Lovers was a 5-star for me. Like, I don't know if it's because it's the only like romance that I had read in a while. To me, Book Lovers was just so much more like, there was more like character and relationship building, I feel. And it's been a long time since I've read it, so maybe I need to read it again and see if I still feel that way. But I also just like loved the New York versus small town. I love both of those environments. I think it's considered enemies to lovers, even though like that is, I think I'm finding my favorite romance trope, but it wasn't even full on like enemies. They just didn't really like know each other yet. But all that to say is that beach read and people we meet on vacation fell totally flat for me. So part of me is like, okay, I think I need some more like, not substance is the right word, but like something that you get in literary fiction, like the importance of it and the gravity of the situations and like the details of like the environment or the people. Like I need a little bit of that, but I think I need it balanced with like also a strong romance story. I don't know. We're learning as we go. I'm reading for fun and we're just figuring it out. But anyways, I kind of got on a sidetrack. All that to say is that I've heard a lot about Abby Jimenez and I've seen her books both in the fiction and in the romance section at the bookstore. So I'm not really 100% sure what to expect. But also one time, one of the booktubers that I follow is Shaughnessy Schroeder. And she said that like whenever another author like has a quote on a book and like shouts out another author, that normally means that the authors are kind of the same in the type of books they write. And Emily Henry wrote on this one, Jimenez is a true talent. So I'm like, maybe it's comparable to an Emily Henry style book. I love Emily Henry's humor and I love the way she does dialogue and wit between the characters. It's very like on brand with my type of humor. But yeah, Book Lovers, I just was the only one that I've read of hers so far that like the romance and the storyline and the plot and the character growth like lived up to what I wanted it to and didn't feel like a cheesy romance book. The other two did for me. But also, I will say that People We Meet on Vacation had both a friends to lovers trope and a back and forth timeline trope. And I hate both of those. So that definitely like influenced my rating for me on that one. But anyways, I don't even fully know what this book is about. And I kind of like doing that. Because sometimes when I feel like I read the back cover, I feel like it gives away too much. Like it's like movies today. That's like you watch a trailer and it's like, well, now I don't need to see the movie. Sometimes that's how I feel about books. So I just like, if everybody's reading it, I'll just get it and just see if I like it or not. But my mother-in-law bought the third one in this series. Let me look up and see what it's called. Okay, yeah, so Part of Your World is number 1, according to Goodreads. I hope this is right. Yours Truly is number 2. Just for the Summer is number 3. And I think Just for the Summer like came out recently. Just for the Summer is the one that my mother-in-law just got. The way that I understand it is that like they are a series, but you can kind of read them standalone. Like there's side characters in this book that the second book is about, and then so on for the third one. But anyways, I got the first one because I still want to read them in order, so I will keep you guys posted on that. I'm very excited to have my hands on an Abby Jimenez book. I've been seeing her everywhere. I also cheesily, but also don't care, picked up The Idea of You, and this was the only movie cover book that they had left. I don't typically go for the movie cover books. I don't typically love books that have like real people on the cover. But honestly, I liked this one better than the other one. And it was also the only one that they had that didn't have like a crinkled, bent cover. So I was like, I'll just get this one. Also, Anne Hathaway is one of my favorite actors of all time. And I'm not just saying that because of The Idea of You. I've loved her since birth. So if somebody's going to be on my cover, I'm fine with it being Anne Hathaway. But anyways, they just, like I said, they made this into a movie on Prime. It's gone viral. I watched it like 4 times in a week, I think, just because it became very quickly like a feel-good movie for me. And her wardrobe in that movie and her job and her hair and just like the whole thing, it gave me a lot of like Devil Wears Prada nostalgic moments, which that's another favorite movie of mine. Like that one is in one of my top 3 favorite movies as far as like a comfort movie. So yeah, I just wanted to read the book because I watched the movie first and I don't normally do that. I'm really excited to read the book about this one. Oh, also something that I literally thought while I was watching the movie and then was confirmed later, I saw in like Instagram comments somewhere, is that this book is like Harry Styles fan fiction. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like what I was thinking, because if you don't know, the premise of the book is like he's a boy band pop star and she's a 40-year-old mom, divorced, and they fall in love. and it's like their trials of like age difference and everything, and like him being famous and her not, and trying to make their worlds mesh. And so when I was watching the movie, I was like, August Moon is giving me One Direction vibes, and him being like the English guy, I don't know, that was also giving me Harry Styles vibes. So then to see that later in Instagram comments that this is like speculated Harry Styles fan fiction, I was like shook. So anyways, I will keep you guys posted on that. I did get the new Emily Henry book, Funny Story. I just kind of want to read all the Emily Henry books, even though I so far haven't really loved 2 and really loved 1. I still want to read Happy Place. I still want to read this one. I have heard, I think that this one is the fake dating trope, which I don't know how I feel about, but we'll see. I just want to read all of her books so that I can just have an opinion about them and know, like, try to figure out what I like as I dive more into, like, back into the romance world. But yeah, I love the covers of her books too. Like, this one is that beautiful purple, and it's a hardback, which I think I have. The other ones of hers that I have are paperback, and I've seen Happy Place in hardback out, but they only had it in paperback at this Barnes, and I didn't want to pick up all of them. I am going to another bookstore, I think, next weekend in Savannah, Georgia when we go. So I kind of wanted to like not get everything on my TBR just because I already have a large stack on my nightstand, and I just wanted to save a couple books for like if I see them at independent bookstores. I don't like buying everything from Barnes. But yeah, they had this one in hardback, so I went ahead and grabbed it. Just like the first paragraph on the inside, it says, Daphne always loved the way her fiance Peter told their story, how they met on a blustery day, fell in love on an errant hat, and moved back to his lakeside hometown to begin their life together. He really was good at telling it, right up until the moment he realized he was actually in love with his childhood best friend Petra, which is how Daphne begins her new story, stranded in beautiful Waning Bay, Michigan without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian that barely pays the bills, and proposing to be roommates with the only person who could possibly understand her predicament, Petra's ex, Miles Nowak. So I won't read the rest of it, but that's what that's about. Comment below and let me know if you have read any of the Emily Henry books, like if you like them, love them, hate them, like what you think about them. I also saw in Barnes that they had the Kennedy Ryan's books, which I have been dying to read. I want to read those so bad. I'm trying to chip away at the books that I do have a little bit first. But I saw somebody say somewhere that they kind of wished that Kennedy Ryan got the same flowers as Emily Henry. And make yourself at home, Peach. And that just really like sparked my interest because I've seen Kennedy Ryan's books everywhere. Like, people love them, and so I definitely want to give them a try. The reason I didn't get it today is because I'm really badly wanting them in hardback, and they only had them in paperback at this Barnes that I went to. So I'm gonna hold out and see if I can find like the hardback version in an indie bookstore or something. Plus I just have so many books here that I need to read too. But yeah, comment below and let me know what you think about Emily Henry, Kennedy Ryan, all of it. Okay, and then the last book I got is a total wild card. It's called Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea. And I am not gonna lie to y'all, the reason I got this is the cover. How beautiful is this cover? Like, stunning. And like, it feels good, like it's just a little bit textured. I am all about a hardback cover. I'm all about a beautiful cover. It will absolutely draw my eye. I saw this and I was like, what is this about? And it's not romance, it is literary fiction. I'll just read like the first little snippet. It says, a dazzling historic novel about a legendary Chinese pirate queen, her fight to save her fleet from the forces allied against them, and the dangerous price of power. So like, I read the whole like snippet in the bookstore, and I don't know, it's different from what I'm usually gravitated to, but I just was like, I'll give it a try. I was like, it's been sitting in my hands for 5 minutes at this point, I might as well just get it. But yeah, so those are the books that I picked up today. So I'm finishing 4 Winds hopefully within the next week or so, because I just read maybe like 20 to 30 pages a day. That's about all I can do during my weekdays with my 9 to 5. But then I have these, and then you guys are sitting on my current books that are like, that I already had. So I have all of those that I need to read too, but I will keep you guys updated on these and the deck book nook. Good morning, everybody. It has been probably a month since I last filmed because a lot has been going on. So we have officially finished the deck for the summer. I have a couple updates with that. So first of all, you can see our Vinkas are doing really good. However, The only thing is that I think there are two different types of vincas, like variations, where some cascade down over the pot and some grow up. I guess in the previous years I got the ones that grow down, and this year I got the ones that grow up, but it doesn't matter. Either way, they're still really pretty. The second thing is the pot by the door we decided not to do tomato plants this year, just because we decided we kind of wanted something just a little bit more like immediate gratification, something really pretty over there. So we bought our first begonia plant I've ever gotten, so we'll see how that does. And then I planted some marigolds around it to just kind of fill it. And the marigolds have done really well. As you can see, they're kind of like spilling over. It's super pretty. My husband Craig said that the marigolds were his favorite out here, which is funny. Another thing is the deck furniture. So as you can see, it has not been changed. It still needs to be sanded and all of that, but we've decided to save that for a winter project and do that when we update some of these deck boards, just because I don't know if you can tell, but it's kind of wet out here. It just rains so much in the North Georgia summers. It's kind of unpredictable too, so it's just kind of hard to like commit to a sanding project outside when the deck is just wet every other day. And plus we've been enjoying it as it is. I don't really mind one more summer of a rustic look with that. So yeah, we're gonna save that and just leave the furniture as it is for now. I did buy this rug on like super sale from Amazon, and it's a waterproof rug. So that I think has helped the space a lot. It kind of like anchors down this sitting area and covers up some of the boards that need to be replaced. We've already been using our pool like every weekend that we're here because it's been hot enough too. And if you can't tell, it is the weekend before 4th of July. This is the Saturday that our town does fireworks and all of that. My little cousin's coming over later. We're gonna enjoy the pool. So I've got my 4th of July attire on. And if you can't tell, I'm sitting on my little 4th of July chappy wrap blanket because the chair's kind of wet. The sun patiens behind me have done phenomenally, and I kind of knew that they would because they're the only flowers I've ever had that fully thrive in the sun. Like morning sun, afternoon sun, this part of the deck gets nothing but sun all day. I planted some pink verbena right here that I thought would be pretty if it kind of like spilled out over, but I think it's just been too hot. Like there's barely any flowers that have survived. I feel like a lot of the blooms just fried off, but I do see some like new ones coming in, so hopefully like all hope is not lost. Hopefully those will still bloom. Same thing for the lavender. There's still some that are purple and fragrant, but a lot of them I think it's just been too hot. I thought about moving the lavender pot to the shady side of the deck where it only gets morning sun, but sun or shade, I just think that like the temperature, it has been so hot here. However, because it is so like humid and muggy this morning, I wish you guys could smell what I'm smelling. Like the lavender fragrance from that pot is just like as soon as you walk out on the deck, it just smells like flowers out here, and that lavender scent hits you and it's so good. Now my other white verbena that's in this white pot, I think a similar thing happened. I think it just got too hot because a lot of the blooms have died. However, there are still new blooms coming in. And it's crazy because I have planted verbena in this exact spot other summers and it's like flourished. So I think it's less of a sun versus shade thing and more of just the temperatures being so hot. But then we finally got some rain the last like 2 or 3 days. So I think that's going to cool everything down. Hopefully everything will be lush and blooming. And then the last couple things are, I had some leftover euphorbia that I thought I was going to plant somewhere else and I ended up not. So I just had these 2 little pots left from previous projects and I just planted those in there just to have some more greenery on that side of the deck. I have my little citronella candle from Target from the Magnolia line. And yeah, if you just like listen for a second, you can hear the birds, you can hear the crickets, you can hear the wind. It is so peaceful out here, and I have loved reading out here, especially in the pool, like during the summertime. It's just so nice. And on that note, let's talk about some books. I was kind of just briefly looking at the footage that I've gotten to date, because like I said, I think I started filming this video in like May. It's now almost July. I kind of like forgot what I had talked to you guys about, and there are some books that I finished that I never like did a review on, so I'm gonna wrap up this video with that. So the first book that I finished a while ago that I never talked about again was The Outer Banks by, I still don't know how to say her name, Diane Ducharme, whichever it is. This got a 4 from me. I think I might have mentioned in the past, but it takes place on the North Carolina shoreline. And I am learning that environment and setting is really big for me. It can definitely influence whether I enjoy a book or not if I enjoy the setting, regardless of what the plot line is, because I love and eat up all the descriptions about the place if I like the place. So whereas some people might find it boring to just have like paragraph after paragraph describing the shoreline and the fish and the oceans and like the low country. I love it. But just a little synopsis on the back. It says, as the wounds of the Civil War are just beginning to heal, one fateful summer... Oh my gosh. Is that a cicada? I've like seen about the cicadas coming down in the south and like infiltrating everything, but we haven't had what I've seen in Nashville online. We haven't had that here in North Georgia, so hopefully they stay in Nashville. Okay, as the wounds of the Civil War are just beginning to heal, one fateful summer would forever alter the course of a young girl's life. In 1868, on the barren shores of post-war North Carolina, the once wealthy Sinclair family moves for the summer to the resort village of Nag's Head. 17-year-old Abigail is beautiful and book smart, but sheltered by her plantation life and hemmed in by her emotionally distant family. To make good use of time, she is encouraged by her family to teach her father's fishing guide, the kind but penniless Benjamin Wimble, how to read and write. And in a twist of fate, unforeseen by anyone around them, the two come to love each other deeply and to understand each other in a way that no one else does. But when, against everything he claims to represent, Ben becomes entangled in Abby's father's KKK work, the terrible tragedy and surprising revelations unmasked on one hot Outer Banks night threaten to tear them apart forever. My mother-in-law gave me this book to read. I feel like why I was able to get through it a little bit faster than some other literary fictions are A, because of the setting, like I said, but B, because there's also like a little bit of a romance story to it. I'm learning that I like a combination of the two. Okay, next up I have The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I know I already talked to you guys about this a little bit. I did finish it, and this was a 5-star read for me. I will say that it was a 5-star in the sense of it was tragic and moving, and I cried. It was not a 5-star in like, oh, this makes me giddy and so happy and page turning. I mean, I couldn't put it down, but like, it was because it's just so well written. But yeah, I think I've told you guys like this is the better version of The Grapes of Wrath, so you guys already know it's about the Great Depression and like the Great Migration over the plains to California, like everybody's looking for work, and it just kind of shows you like society dynamics of how things can change so quickly. Like you can go from being so well respected as like a family in your town to like being called a new term called Okies, and like all of a sudden society just like casts you out because circumstances beyond your control have made you fall on hard times. There's a lot of empathy for these characters, and like I said, I think I said this before, but the characters are so much more dynamic. Like I feel like it's such a better depiction of the times than The Grapes of Wrath. So if you're wanting to read about that time period, I would highly recommend this book. Okay, next up, y'all, we have The Idea of You by, what's her name? Robin Lee. Okay, this book got a 2 for me, which if you guys saw my other video of my rating system, that's the lowest you can get because a 1 is a DNF and I always finish. I was shook to my core with this book in a bad way. Just a little bit of context. I saw the movie first and I thought, oh, like what a cute little fun rom-com. I love Anne Hathaway, and they were speaking so highly of the book. I've seen interviews with Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galitzine, I think is his name, and they would like quote the book. They would talk about how they drew inspiration for their characters from this book. So I was kind of like, cool, like I want to read it, compare it to the movie. Normally I read books first and then see the movie or TV series, so I was like, this will be backwards, it'll be cool. Y'all, first of all, I'm gonna give a spoiler-free review right now, and then I do plan on making a full in-depth review that will spoil things or just be like a engaging discussion if you've already read the book and seen the movie. I'm gonna make a separate video for that, but this right here is gonna be spoiler-free, so don't worry. But there were, first of all, so many things that were different from the book to the movie, and I know that happens a lot, but there were like entire plot points that were different. Like, in some ways, you could almost say that this is like a completely different story than what was portrayed in the movie. Like, so much was changed. And like I said, it's not just like details, it's like plot lines were changed. And also, I think I said this already, but just so you know the premise, she's a 40-year-old mom and he's a boy band pop star, and that's the plot, is that like they fall in love and they're battling the age difference and him being famous and her not. In the book, I will go ahead and say this because I don't think it spoils the plot at all, but the age gap is bigger than what they portray in the movie. In the movie, he's 24 and she's 39. In the book, she's 39 turning 40 and he's 20, and she thought he was 19, and she's like super like into his youthfulness like throughout the book, and it really started getting creepy for me, if I'm honest. Like it just started getting I don't know. And I was looking on Goodreads because I was like, am I the only one that feels this way? Like, am I crazy? And I think a lot of people felt that way. I don't know. It just, like, it really, there's like some scenes and some ways that she describes what she likes about him that are specific to his youthfulness. There's spicy scenes. There's so many spicy scenes. And I just was like, cringing. I was cringing during a lot of this book. I will give some positives though. One of the things that I liked about the book that I think they kind of incorporated into the movie well also was like her lifestyle. She still has a bougie lifestyle in the book too. Like her gallery's doing really well. So like, I don't know, it describes her clothes, it describes like the New York events she's going to, and like all that kind of stuff is fun for me. And I think another thing too, and I've seen this get praise from other celebrities, is I do think it's a little bit insightful about how intrusive the public is on celebrities' lives, like just because they've chosen an art like acting. Some would say that they're asking for a life with no privacy, and I think this just kind of shows you that at the end of the day, like we're all human and we all ultimately just want a life of freedom, and sometimes with fame you lose that. So like that part was interesting, but ultimately, unfortunately, I would tell you to not read this book. It was not for me. The next one that I think I've briefly talked about either in this video or another one is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I did finish this. It got a 3 from me. Still didn't live up to the book lovers hype, which I think I said, but I did just want to give like a little bit more of an in-depth review on it because I don't think I did that. First of all, it has nothing to do with the beach, so if that's what you're expecting, put it down or rearrange your expectations. It says Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens A Happily Ever After, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing that they have in common is for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring, it says beach houses, but it's more like a lake beach, not an ocean beach. They're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Then, one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult, obviously. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love. Really. So like it was cute. I liked it better than People We Meet on Vacation. I just felt like it had potential that it didn't reach. That was my overall thought about it, is like, I don't know. It just didn't quite meet like the in-depthness that I wanted it to, but like it's a simple little happy romance story if you want to pick that up. Okay, and then this next book I'm so excited to talk to you guys about because I just finished it literally last night. It's a 4-star for me, and it's like been such a good book, and it was a total wild card. It's What Wild Women Do by Karma Brown. I had not heard of this book at all. I had never heard of this author, and I literally just saw this in Barnes & Noble. The cover caught my eye because I thought it was beautiful. Look at this. And then I read like the inside jacket, like the summary, and I was like, that sounds interesting. And I picked it up. I am not 100% sure if this is like literary fiction or what, but it definitely has some mystery to it. So let me read you guys the summary. An aspiring contemporary screenwriter, a 1970s socialite turned feminist, and the camp in the woods that ties their story together forever in #1 international best-selling author Karma Brown's new novel about ambition, betrayal, and the wildness that exists in all of us. So, without spoiling anything, it's exactly what it just said. There is a screenwriter from 2021 who is learning about what happened to a feminist in the 1970s, and they're in the same area, like however many years that is apart. You do the math, I'll put the math on screen. But they're in the same campground, and so it's explaining their stories from both time periods. So this did have a jumping timeline, which you guys know I don't normally like, and I did not mind it at all. Like, it did not bother me at all. I was still super engrossed. Craig could tell you I could not put this book down. I finished it quicker than I finish most books. So I would definitely pick this up. Like I said, there's like mystery to it, and because you're doing the jumping timelines, it's like just enough to like keep you going. Like once you finish a chapter, you're like, oh, like, but what happened to her? Like, I gotta get through this one. And then you're like, oh, but what happened to her? It also, I felt like, almost had like multiple endings. Like, I thought it was the end of the book, and then you turn and it's the next chapter. And it was almost like, oh yeah, like it kept wrapping up things that you forgot even needed to be wrapped up because so much has happened. Again, this was another one too that I feel like the environment and the setting really made it a good 4 for me, because it took place in, like, I think it's upstate New York, somewhere in New York, in the trees, in a campground, in acreage of forest. Nature and the setting in this book was honestly almost like its own character. Like the campground was its own character. It becomes alive. You learn so much about like your relationship with birds and trees and just like feeling connected to nature around you, which it just felt very peaceful reading it, even though there's a literal missing person in the book. So yeah, I was just pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I had not heard anything. This was not recommended. This was not given to me by somebody. I picked this out, just saw it on a Barnes & Noble table. For it to be as good as it was, I was so happy with that. So those are all the books that I've read recently, or at least since I last like updated you guys. I'm currently reading Abby Jimenez's Part of Your World. This is the first in her 3-part series, I think it is. It's my first time reading Abby Jimenez, so I will definitely keep you guys updated on that. And then the last thing that I thought would be fun to do that I wanted to wrap up this Book Nook book video with is, I think I mentioned we went to Savannah about a month ago, and I did get to go to one bookstore. I didn't film in there because it was super like packed with people, but it's called E. Shaver's Booksellers. It's known for like, it has cats in the store, so when you go in there you just need to be careful to make sure you're not stepping on a cat. But I got my first blind date with a book in there, so I thought it would be fun to open it on camera, which yes, I have waited a month to open this so that I could open it on camera with you guys. You're welcome. It says blind date with a book, fiction, best friends struggling bookstore, I'm in, tyrannical historical society, series of mishaps, underground book club, a town secret, for anyone who finds comfort in books. So let's open this. I have no idea what it could be, or if I will even like recognize it. If something's like not on my TBR, I tend to not really know, or if it's not on like Bookstagram, not super familiar. Although I do watch, do you guys follow Parnassus Books on Instagram? And Patchett's Bookstore in Nashville? I am obsessed with their laydown diaries. They post like videos every Friday and Tuesday. And Tuesday are the laydown diaries. They talk about new books of different genres, kids books, like fiction, nonfiction, what's new, what they want to talk about. On Friday they do If You've Never Read This Book, It's New to You, and they talk about an old book that they love. And I have added so many books to my TBR from watching those videos. I'm obsessed with them. You guys should definitely go check it out. The Banned Bookshop of Maggie Banks by Shauna Robinson. Okay, I've never heard of this book. I've never heard of this author, so that's exciting. Oh, and it has a quote by Abby Jimenez on here. A sparkling, bookish story about rules just begging to be broken. I couldn't get enough. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about that. Okay. It says, I, Maggie Banks, solemnly swear to uphold the rules of Cobblestone Books. If only I, Maggie Banks, cared about following the rules. When Maggie Banks arrives in Bell River to run her best friend's struggling bookstore, she expects to sell bestsellers to her small-town clientele. But running a bookstore in a town with a famously bookish history isn't easy. Bell River's literary society insists on keeping the bookstore stuck in the past, and Maggie is banned from selling anything written this century. So when a series of mishaps suddenly tip the bookstore toward ruin, Maggie will have to get creative to keep the shop afloat. And in Maggie's world, book rules are made to be broken. There's more, but I won't read the whole thing. I'm so excited. This sounds like I'm gonna freaking love it. I'm so happy I got this. I'm like grinning ear to ear. I've never gotten like a blind date with a book before, so I'm really happy. But yeah, so these are the books that are gonna be on my upcoming TBR. This one I'm already currently reading. But yeah, I think that about wraps up this book video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe if you did. If this is the first video you're ever watching from me, this is a very new book channel that I've started, so I appreciate any support, and I'm hoping to build like a community of book people. But I will see you guys in the next video.